Welcome in, everyone. RFK Refugees podcast. Ted here. Jon is also here. We are back. MLS is back. Returned actually last Wednesday. A lot of the club soccer getting ready to get fired up, at least on this side of the plane. The last of the summer season before we switch up the calendars, get into that madness. As I'm about ready to sneeze, so I need Jon to fill up the microphone.
Talk while you sneeze.
Yeah,
go ahead and mute yourself. No, I think because you talked about it, you'll stop now.
It went away. It went away.
Of course.
Maybe it'll come back. Post game cheers. But hey, Jon, how you doing, my friend? How have you been? It's been like a while.
Great.
It feels like forever.
I'm so great. I had a long vacation in California, which was really, really, really nice, and enjoyed I think I went from I got on a plane. It was 102, and then I landed, and it was like 65, which made my body snap in half. And I also did not have clothes for that because I forgot that it gets cold in the Bay Area at all times, no matter when. So, yeah, but it was a great trip. Can't complain at all. And I think the good thing about taking this break for the show is I have been like very excited for Wednesday, more excited than anyone should be for a DC United Houston Dynamo game, a midweek game in July. But that is where I'm at. That's my mind frame right now. What about you? How was? I know you did the Patreon show.
Yes,
appreciate you getting the content out, but how the last couple weeks been for you?
It's
the World Cup.
It's been watching a lot of World Cup, obviously. Even though we all told ourselves, oh, we're not gonna.
Yeah, didn't work out for any of us.
It did not work out. About ready to go sit and watch the final. Don't think we're gonna. City Stadium here is hosting. Has been hosting watch parties, and they're hosting one for the final. But it is looking like it is about ready to drop buckets. So I think we're gonna take the safe option and go somewhere indoors. So. Nope, as we hear family members talking.
Sorry, she was upstairs and then she wasn't.
But yeah, no, it's been good. I've been resting up for the summer, ready to get back to DC. The Richmond Kickers have been playing throughout this break, and they have not been good.
They have been certainly playing games for sure. The game soccer has been occurring for them.
Their coach / director of soccer operations left, so things are bleak right now. Things are bleak. A 4-0 drubbing at the hands of
your favorite team.
Of Forward Madison, Jon's favorite team, because he just likes to annoy me. It's very nice.
Karamoko, the legend of Forward Madison now.
Did he score in that game? I wasn't even really paying attention.
Not that game, the game before. I had to talk about too my Monterey Bay experience too.
Please.
I loved it. All right, so I went. It was for the USL Cup, which I love that it exists. Is that still the Jägermeister Cup? Is that still the same thing?
It's the Penix Tire Cup now. Jägermeister is no longer the sponsor.
But it is the same thing.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Exactly.
Just making sure. So I went. I was in Monterey for a week, and I was like, I kind of want to see this. I'm just curious. I want to see what it. So they play on University of California, Monterey Bay, which is a pretty new college. They play on that campus. Tickets were more than I thought for a game of this division. So it was like $26 to get in per seat, and then parking was $25. And this was just in like a big. It's like I think it's purpose built for them. Their college soccer team might play there, but it's just in the middle of campus. I was saying when I was there, I was like, man, where this campus is located, if I went to this school, good luck getting me to ever go to class. Like you're right near the beach. Like, it wouldn't happen for me. But it was very cool. Just the vibes were kind of interesting. They had a weird mascot that was just Kelpie, which is just like a large kelp forest that had stuff sticking on it, which I thought was great. The things I missed about, and you get this, I think, probably a Kickers game, so you know what I'm talking about. Like there is a, I don't want to call it minor league soccer, but there is like a carelessness and like fun that can happen for casual fans that are witnessing soccer at this tier. It's not like necessarily as serious. Like there was this guy, and I already forget his name. He was playing right back for them. He was not their typical right back. They had done a huge squad rotation because it was the pinnacle USL Cup thing. And they just kept like every time he touched the ball, they went insane. Just because. Like I think he actually played for the Kickers his first year. This guy, something Ritchie is his last name.
Oh, Stuart Ritchie?
Yeah. So they were going bananas for him. And I was like, this is just fun. Like they're not taking it too seriously. They gave up a 2-0 lead in like the last 5 minutes of the game. Sebastian Lletget was on the team. That was fun. Number 88, he played. I got a jersey. I was considering getting his name and number printed on it, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we'll mail it to you." And I was like, "Okay." And they're like, "Okay, just pay." I was like, "I didn't tell you where I live." Like, "Oh, we'll just let you know when it's done, and then you can figure it out afterwards." Like, I'm just gonna take the jersey now. Actually, I don't really need it. And I also didn't know how long he was going to be there. He's played one season. I was like, how is he going to be a long-term Monterey Bay player? Probably not. probably just keep it playing. Other things that were interesting, Fidel Barajas just joined them. So he's now on their team. He joined at halftime. I was in line to get the jersey at the time, so I missed his. He did like a, introduction. You know how they always do a halftime introduction? Even
Mhm.
at a place like Monterey Bay, where there's nothing really to go to afterwards. Everyone had left the stands. There was no one there. Apparently, it was just there was just like two people in the stands. He's like, "Yay, I'm here!" And then they would have gone to penalties, but they blew it in stoppage time. My daughter loved it, and I really want to. It doesn't. I've seen Loudon United games; those were not as fun. So it's not a universal thing at the USL Championship level that the vibes are good. But I had a really good time, and I would recommend if you're ever out there for some reason, go see them. I wanted to see the Oakland Roots. I missed them by a day. I wanted to go see Ryan Martin. Loudon United sucks now, by the way. I,
Oh, they're
I
awful.
just I just checked in on them. It's like, wow, Ryan Martin left, and that team went to crap. Like they
Yeah.
just fell apart.
I don't know. Maybe you should have held on to Ryan Martin. I know
Maybe they should have, or paid some money for players and stuff.
I know I went to I think I saw DC United play or sorry, not DC United. Richmond Kickers play Fort Wayne, and Jeremy Correa was like checked in on the roster, so can find those fun little nuggets for
I love
I
it.
usually do like I watch the team like, okay, who's on this roster? And I like find people that, oh, hey, I remember him. I remember him. I'm a nerd. I
There's a
know
lot of
those
that.
people.
I was
There's a
doing that
lot of
too,
that.
like, because it was all the problem was it was a rotated squad in that division, so it's like I was like, all right, well, maybe on the bench is where I'll know some guys, and there were some guys that knew
There
other
were
than
there were
legit.
indeed some guys, just dudes naming dudes. All right, let's get into the content of the show today. We're gonna set DC United aside for now. I think it's worth discussing that we had this big tournament, apparently big tournament. Never heard of it until this year. The World Cup happened in the United
It's
States,
the first ever
Mexico,
World Cup.
Canada. John, let's just, I don't, I want to, there's so many topics that we could like lose ourselves into. I don't want to get stuck into that. There is a one topic I do want to discuss that I see a lot of discourse, a
I have one
discourse on
too.
that I think is worthy of discussion. But give me a topic related to this World Cup that you
My
want
biggest
to
one that I want
discuss.
to address is because we were real smart to stop podcasting basically during the World Cup because boy, is the attention on soccer never higher and like the international audience. So the one thing I want to address is it is called soccer. I don't care, British fans who somehow have gotten our reels put into your feed, Facebook. I don't care. Shut up. Find new things to complain about. Overall World Cup, I think I don't think we talked about at the beginning, is the World Cup effect thing still a thing? And will it change MLS? I do not think so. I think we have, as a soccer viewing audience, matured so much since 94. And we talked about that ahead of time. Like, I think that this will be like, all right, well, that was really cool. This was a really good tournament. We had a number of like all-timer games. We had really cool stories pop up, and then we'll just divert our attention to the next thing. They'll be like, all right, NFL training camp starts next in 2 weeks or whatever it will be. MLS, I don't think is going to see a huge jump in viewership. I don't think you're going to see that. I hope you do. I don't think you do. But I think it was a success from the standpoint of the games were good. And I mean, the media around it was horrible. There were, some typical problems that were related just to the fact that this is the United States and like the worst imaginable fashion of that, with a number of immigration based concerns and players not getting visas, and teams having to cross country borders to play their games and then return. So a lot of stupid things that could only happen in this country at this exact time. But as far as the product, as far as the games themselves, I think it was fantastic tournament.
Yeah, I think we'll be curious to see the final. By the way, congratulations to the team who speaks Spanish as their primary language in their country and has a history of right wing dictatorships. So congratulations to them on winning the World Cup.
You think it's going to be that? Oh, I guess I guess you can't go either way there. You can't lose.
Wow, that joke just went right
I
over
wasn't making.
John.
I mean, they've been fortunately or unfortunately for one of those teams, one of the two teams has a much more recent history of that. So that's sort of where the attention has focused as of recent. If we want to get into the 50s and 60s, sure, yeah, also true.
Yeah. But anyway, but the U.S. As far as I think the discourse around the U.S. team, around other media, kind of surprised me a little bit, and I think this is kind of where I wanted to get into my topic, but. Yes, I think you're right. I don't think this will have any significant impact on MLS. I think what will have an impact, I think the continuing of sort of the path that MLS is going down. I think continuing to try to develop players, to bring players up to the top team will help. I think signing big talents. I think the calendar switch that this team is going to undergo, or this league is going to undergo next season, will be a real test. Can they attract in some of the bigger stars now that their calendars are sort of more aligned with the top level players that they're trying to pursue out of Europe and whatnot. So that's going to be I think the more significant thing to watch. I mean, soccer's here. Soccer's arrived. I think what MLS needs, in my opinion, to be doing is it's basically there's like half of the people who just watch like European level soccer, Champions League level soccer. And then there's like another half, maybe less than half, that follow a local team or follow MLS. I think your goal, if you're MLS, is trying to bring more of those people in, bring more of those people into sort of the live soccer experience, continue to develop that aspect of it, and continue to, push your academies, push your teams to continue to develop players. I think the incentives around that should grow. And I think we'll talk a little bit maybe about DC's path around the U22 roster slot and maybe where MLS should actually be targeting instead of sort of what the U22 slot is meant to represent, or meant to be, or what it's designed to do. So yeah, I mean, it's. I think you're right to call it like this World Cup a runaway success. I'm sure a runaway success financially. A lot of really just like utterly disappointing things. The intervention by the president. I don't care what you say. That had an impact.
That killed the vibes, if nothing else. That was a vibe destroying thing.
It was.
When as soon as that happened, I was like, well, I think our chances just took about a 30 to 50% hit.
Yeah, the vibes around everything around the just the notion of it really just went downhill. And this went from a team that was, even if they went out and lost this game, if they lost it 3-2, 2-1, they had put on, exactly the same display that Mexico put on against England. I think you would have a much different discourse around this team than you do right now. So I think that took an impact. We'll see what changes come as far as the U.S. men's national team. And I want to get in, this is where I think I want to get into my piece. I think what the large part of the discourse, of course, came from Landon Donovan, Eric Winalda, the usual media heads that were circling around our developmental model and our pay-to-play model. And what really frustrates me mostly, and I think it frustrates a lot of people who follow this game, I recommend go read. Matt Doyle wrote an excellent piece, I think, that really sort of outlined that there are people out there that want to treat this like this is black and white, that we should just go make academies free. We should just have it free, like do free. And, Alexi Lawless's post, which is completely self-serving and utterly like, it's the type of like post that like, he's not wrong. Like someone has to pay for this stuff, but he's also, there are ways that you could do that. And he's just like, well, it's not a big deal. And it is a big deal. And what frustrated me more, I guess, was, it's the same tired argument that we've had. And I hate when it's treated like, I see Landon Donovan says, we don't develop stars because we have pay to play. Oh, pay to play is terrible. Pay to play is awful. Pay to play exists because for years, for even a decade, there is no sort of professional backbone, high level professional backbone teams that can absorb the cost. That is changing. It is changing fairly quickly. And a lot of these teams that have the pay-to-play model, and we can absolutely discuss about, how ridiculous it is for how much these kids play. You have to pay these international tournaments. I did in Richmond. I did a girls' academy elite tournament. A lot of great soccer, a lot of great, a lot of teams, but these teams were from California, from Colorado, from Utah, from Michigan, all over the place, coming to Richmond. So that those flights could not have been cheap. Hotels could not have been cheap. All of those expenses get factored in for these kind of high-level players. And these teams have evolved because there's been no sort of, MLS wasn't focused on it really until the 2006, 2007. And I think what Matt Doyle made a great point. He says, look, like, I mean, if you really think about it, Weston McKennie is kind of that first wave of players. Christian Pulisic, again, maybe some of that first wave. He gets the benefit of having a European passport, so he can go over to Europe early. Tyler Adams, all these players were kind of this first sort of wave of players that we're developing. And there are gaps that we need. He talks a lot about 11 to 14. There's a nuanced discussion to be had about this and to ways to make it better. And I feel like sometimes it just gets drowned out by this kind of soundbite culture about, oh, we're terrible because we have pay to play, and no, pay to play is awful. We just need to get rid of it. And it doesn't actually address the fact that these clubs developed because there was no one there. Richmond United exists here in Richmond, and FC Richmond exists is because the Kickers don't have the funds to backload and make their academy free and develop out like a full professionalized academy. They have Richmond United does sort of link up with the Richmond Kickers, but it's a very sort of tenuous relationship as far as that goes. So like until we are able to actually start to develop that, the system exists. And what US Soccer and I think other people need to do is we need to figure out ways to work around that, because you're not going to have this sudden revolution where suddenly everything's going to be free. And I also think there are still costs that people like either don't want to think about or don't want to say, like paying referees, paying people, paying coaches. These people are still committing labor. They're still committing their time to go and actually teach kids and coach kids. That's labor. They have to get paid. There are certainly a lot of things to talk about with expenses and how things are, and is it gone crazy? There's a lot that's going on in other sports, baseball, basketball, football, with private equity getting in. So this is not like a problem that's sort of unique to soccer either, and it's a growing problem. So I just think I hate how it gets narrowed down, and some of these actors, all they want to do is just talk about that aspect, but they don't ever really want to offer like actual, here's my idea of how we fix it. It's just, oh, this is a problem. It's terrible. It's awful. It's why we're so bad. And that's they leave it at that. So,
as ever, the best thing you can do, other than this podcast, is not listen to people's opinions about sports. That's a key, particularly if his name is Lexi Lawless or Eric Ronaldo. It's you're not gonna come out enlightened typically, unless they surprise you. Matt Doyle. I think of people who are not famous, people who give you their opinion and are only doing that because they're famous for another reason. They're never going to enlighten you typically. They're never going to bring something new to the table. Matt Doyle might, because he's famous because of the things he thinks and says. So that's one thing. Two, I agree with you, Ted. I think the funny thing that America has to deal with, and this is another hackneyed point about LeBron James and et cetera, is that even if we had free academies, even if there was no financial friction between a player wanting to do this and then having access to high education, like the best things. Other countries do not have physical competition for their best athletes. Like unless LeBron James is going to make, I'll use LeBron James. LeBron James is like 57 years old. He's going to make like $49 million this year to not play 82 games. And like, you would have to play in a half of a career more than in MLS to make that money. So if you're a talented 13, 12, whatever year old, you have physical gifts, like even if those things were free, even if you had coaches beating down your door, like I will make you into an elite soccer player. You just got to give me 6 years of your life. I'll do it. And when you get out of that, you're going to go to MLS and you're going to make $2 million a year. This is the opportunity I give you. Or I have a dream where I'm like, oh, well, I can get drafted in the first round and make in my first contract $36 million and get my entire family out of poverty and set myself up for like the financial incentives are in place in this country that aren't in place in other places. If you're a 9-year-old, 10-year-old with an elite pedigree in Belgium and you have these physical gifts and it's evident, like you're gonna be a soccer player. That's what you're gonna do. That's where you're going to go. So
you also you exist in a world where there are 5 professional clubs, in your
neighborhood,
within 20, 30 blocks of you that, if you're not going to play for Anderlecht's academy, well, then you've got maybe a lower division team that you can hop onto. And then so there's a standard, and then you can kind of work your way up from there. So
the blessing and a curse of the money swim. Well, it's mostly a curse, but there's like some blessings. Blessing and a curse of being in a country this size with this much money sloshing around and this much talent sloshing around is that it will go. The money will flow. It's like this is the one place where the market seems to do its thing. Like the talent will go to where the money is. Unfortunately, just generally. But there's like we have so many people and so much talent that even if you take out that like sort of freak of nature component, the LeBron James, the guys dunking at 12, there's still a lot of players that we could develop in a way that puts our soccer team in a different path. I don't think having a lack of development put us to where we are, like in this tournament, like that game, we could have beat Belgium. We could have made it to the round of 16 in the World quarterfinals.
Yes.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think that game was over 3 days before it happened. And yeah, that doesn't make sense now to pick through the actual game itself. But yeah, I think that there was a lot of good things to take from this, from like a just general soccer in the United States. I think to your point at the beginning, the people who only watch Europe, the people who are only going to watch the best of the best, and that's all they'll ever watch with soccer, I get it. It makes sense to me. I do that with basketball. I'm not going to watch mid-majors other than Mason. I'm not going to watch mid-major college basketball play. Like, why would I do that? There's only so many hours in my life. I'm going to die one day. Like, I think you're exactly right. Is the people who see beyond that to like, I like this sport, but I also want community. Like,
Mhm.
throw all of your money and attention at those people. Those are the only gettable people.
Yeah. And Michael Gillespie, by the way, all my anti-MLS friends are saying the weaknesses of MLS and the lack of pro-rel is the main reason that the U.S. is not able to get further in the World Cup. Thoughts? To me, it's not pro-rel. People
Certainly
can
not.
people can
Imagine
talk.
what would the TV audience have been for DC United versus San Jose? Well, I'm trying to think of whoever finished second to bottom on the Eastern Conference last year. Who was the runner-up to the Wooden Spoon last
Yeah,
year?
it was Atlanta.
Montreal, probably?
Yeah,
Who?
Montreal, Atlanta. It was Atlanta last year.
Do you imagine that would have been like there would have been 20 million people watching that? Because, God, someone's going to go down to USL Championship if we. Not even in 20 years would that be the case. Like, that is not why. That's not it.
It will be interesting to me. USL developing pro-rel, having that pyramid. It will be. This is, I think, the ultimate test as to that nature. And I'm sure if it doesn't work, people say, "Well, no." The problem is that it wasn't U.S. soccer wide. But
Pro-rel
if you
fail, it can only be fail.
If you believe that promotional relegation is the only reason, and as soon as USL institute, I better hope that you find a USL
You're in
team
trouble. Soccer. What's the idiot? What's the guy on Twitter a million years ago?
The Ted Westervelt.
Ted Westervelt. Yeah. Get ready,
Yeah.
Ted. Other Ted.
No, but they're already setting up the excuses. I mean, we're not going to get the type of system that developed in England, Germany, other places, developed before there was big money in soccer. That's the rate of it. It's why I think pro-rel in USL could work, because there aren't those huge financial incentives. Now, people also say, well, then there's no incentive to really go up. And I say that's true, but that's kind of how you start building up those incentives. Is it kind of starts out being kind of low, and then it goes from there. No, I think the reason we're not able to go further are a lot of the things, the problems that have been pointed out about our development pathway, and we're just trying to build that up. It takes time. And I saw something on Twitter once that made me so furious at one of the sort of USL people, where he was like, it doesn't take that long to build a development pipeline. And I almost just was just like, are you kidding me? That is like the absolute like worst take. That is somebody who thinks an only concept of like a single professional club able to build up a pipeline. Yes, that might be a little bit of a shorter time frame to get right and to get moving. I think it's still like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years to like maybe 10 years to actually get that going. But like, you're talking like a professional, like national pipeline takes a long time, and it takes a long time to kind of get everybody moving in the same direction. So, all right, let's get into DC United.
Speaking of clubs needing to develop a youth pipeline and taking longer than they should to do it, DC United.
Hey man, we got some positives. I really didn't put together much. I talked a little bit. I think Nathan Ordaz was kind of on everybody's mind in the last Patreon show. We'll get some discussion around that, I think. And we also got maybe a player rumor that I'm willing to entertain, even though we don't have the Tom Bogart seal of approval. This one feels a little bit
X jersey is still 0.
Extras, there's a little bit of a boost from this, I think, based on what I'm saying. So let's talk about the players inbound, in case if you're listening on the free show and you're like, what's changed on the team? Andrew Dozell, who we've mentioned on the show, he was announced well beforehand. He was a free transfer from Portsmouth in the USL Championship, playing that central midfield position, a team of need. Of course, inbound also now is Nathan Ordaz, forward, can play on the right side, kind of like a narrow inside forward type player. And then also the team apparently has made a $1.5 million offer. So looking at TAM level for this guy, for Kamito Nono. Hopefully I'm getting that right. That's going to create some cool
memes. The memes are right there. Like, it's going to be good. I think there's lots of jokes. There's lots of, he's helping us make subject or headlines for our podcast, like podcast title names. I'm sure we could use a lot of stuff with Nono or Nono or however it's pronounced.
Apparently the right back, so replacing one of the players who is currently out, which is Aaron Herrera, who has left the team. He was waived by the team. And of course, Nathan Ordaz is pretty much the replacement for Gabriel Pirani, as Nathan Ordaz will occupy a U22 slot. So based on everything that's sort of changed in the offseason, what you can say is that the team has basically it appears right now, looking to replace the guys that have left in Ordaz and Nono, replacing Pirani and Herrera, with Andrew Dozell being kind of the one sort of like net new addition to this team. John, give me some of your thoughts on this offseason and how you think things are going.
I first want to make sure that you go to All Points Bulletin, Matt Hilliard on Substack, who has written so many words about Andre Dozell. I maybe too many words, but there's words. He also did a video breakdown. This is similar to Ted's sort of dalliance with such things when Poltola came over. He watched 5 Portsmouth games. He edited video of not every single touch, but every touch of like importance over all those games and put it on a Substack. So go check that out. After you do that, you're going to be very underwhelmed by the potential output and potential of Dozell coming to this club. It looks like he's going to be asked to do something he's never shown before and never shown aptitude of, as far as like aggressive, defensive, like high work rate play. Has never done that. Not that kind of player. He has a really good skill at attacking passes, sort of like more of an 8 from a passing skill set perspective, but also was not utilized at all, possibly because of the way Portsmouth played, partly because of the way the championship is. So it's not, when you look at the player based on his track record, based on his skill set that's been evident, it's not inherently clear that he's going to be able to change the status quo from the midfield perspective. It's sort of just like, here's another guy that is similar to the guys that we have that potentially will cost more money. I don't know what contract can we give him. Is it 2 years and an option?
I think
That's
it's 2
usually
years.
what we
Yeah,
do.
I think it's through the sprint season and then to the break. So yeah,
I think the Ordaz move is more promising, obviously, out of those two. You get Pirani. Hilliard also broke this down basically and said, like, briefly between the two, like, Pirani would pad his stats at the end of the year when things no longer mattered, and you come away thinking like those stats, like, oh, 6 goals, pretty decent. That's a contributing player. Ordaz has a more extensive track record, played more minutes, or at least more productive minutes. When I looked at the positions of need at this team, he seemed, and I'm sure you already mentioned this, like he's not like an obvious 10. He's not like an obvious right wing. He's sort of a tweener. He's more of a more plays what Lewis plays on our team, sort of a second forward position. I don't hate, like, as far as the outlay, it's all right. In the under 22 spot, it's fine. I prefer, I think you said it on Blue Sky. It's like, yeah, maybe in a perfect world, we take these like lottery shots at under 22 players that we're going to sell for $20 million. But we've and MLS has shown almost no ability to do that. So why not, let's use it on players that we know can contribute in MLS and move forward. And because I think we find ourselves at a place where the step to locking in a playoff spot is achievable with a few tweaks, like a few player tweaks or tactical flexibility when the games present themselves differently. I don't think we're no longer in danger of being completely inept based on the transitions that have happened this year. We still are multiple windows away from like really challenging and really, really being exciting. But I think as far as what we are right now, they got the players out that the coach refuses to play. Very important. They were never going to play again, clearly. And we could have done more if this rumored right back comes in and performs, a fraction of the way that our left back has done, then you got to be pleased. You got to be pleased. You shouldn't be like, all right, MLS championship, here we come, but you should be pleased.
yeah. I mean, I think the biggest thing is, and Slide Tackle 84 with the question: summer signings and rumors, cautiously optimistic or as effective as setting money on fire? I think you can say cautiously optimistic. I'll read the All Points Bulletin. I'd be curious to think. I do think this team. I'd be curious to see if the 8 position for Dozell could work, because I do feel like where this team struggled in sort of the offensive was sort of creating kind of a link between Peltola
Agreed.
and Cervania and the attacking play. So if Dozell can kind of hit those
Matt's concern on that was Peltola does not have the speed necessarily to cover for 2 the way he's had the help, and that Dozell does not run off the ball necessarily. He's not a high effort guy. He's kind of like a walking around guy, like Messi basically, but except for not Messi. So that's he thought, like, from a skill set that worked, but it would just require more of Matty than he has been asked to do so far.
And we'll see. We'll see kind of who plays out. I think it's definitely competition for Cervania at the very least. He was a free transfer, so he doesn't. I mean, as far as his cap hit, it's going to be his salary, which I think was fairly affordable from what I've gathered. So we'll no.
Cervania's defensive stats also in this article also better than you'd think.
Yeah.
It's kind of surprising. It's one of the, well, I mean, he had points in the year where you said that he is no longer the problem necessarily. He's not like the big red thumb sticking out. Like, what is this guy doing on an MLS roster? Like his defensive stats at least are better than Dozell's stats were at Portsmouth.
Yeah, I think the thing about Nathan Ordaz, having him as kind of that inside forward, I think this team, with the fact they're going after Camilo Nono, who, according to some people, this dude is like an offensive like powerhouse as far as on that right wing back position. it seems pretty clear they're using Karakawa and presumably no if he signs. Again, nothing confirmed there. That they want to play, they want to have their in-out plays on either the left or the right side, get narrow and try to link up, and then you have sort of supporting runs from your wing backs. That's kind of how they seem like they want to play. So I think the fact that Bizel's not an out, Ordaz, the one concern is like Ordaz doesn't have good at receiving the ball, hasn't shown an ability to be sort of a chance creator. Chance creation is still the big question for this team. Can they be able to effectively chance create? Hopefully that would come. I was hopeful that would come with like a DP slot. I don't think it's going to do that. So
is there still room to do that with the roster build now? You've got 3 under 22s and 2 DPs.
The big thing is international slots. So presumably they signed no. The question then becomes, well, then what are you doing? Like you have to either trade for an international slot, which there are a set few that you could trade for. Again, the 350K you got for Pirani could be easily flipped for an international slot. Then the question too is, are you willing to sacrifice the $1 million in GAM to do the switch to the 3-3 model to get that DP? I thought surely this team was going into the summer and signing a DP. I thought that has
as they said they were doing. They told us directly that's
that they said they were doing. Now I'm kind of wondering, we haven't heard anything significant. We have the Spanish player. I'm not going to talk about him because so far we know that there's not the concrete rumors. We have concrete rumors for no, so I'm willing to bring him into the conversation. Don't want to talk about a guy who ultimately might not even be really interested in coming here and might not come to fruition. So we'll see. They do have the window just open up. They have till September. They have some time to try to grab somebody. I do think they've done enough so far where this team is still right in that playoff mix. Their DP so far, Ty Baribo has been great. Luis Montaño, slow going, but he started to pick it up. If those two players continue in their path and they also, maybe figure out a way to lock it down more defensively, then I think we got something here. I think that's going to be the real question. The real question is this team moving forward. So if they go without a DP signing, I think it'll be extremely disappointing. But would it be disastrous right now with this roster? Probably not. Could they still make the playoffs with this roster? Sure, absolutely they could. I think the DP is getting a chance creating DP to kind of like tie it all together. I think is the difference between this team, squeaking into maybe 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th to maybe challenging 6th or 5th at this point. So we'll see. The season gets started. We'll get that. Okay, we're going to switch over a little bit. We'll do a quick little Patreon section of the show. Maybe do a little Houston Dynamo preview. So for this show, we got stadium news to talk about. We got maybe some long-term stuff coming from our Patreon. So go listen to that. $5 tier gets you access to this to the bonus stuff on the show. And we'll catch you guys. We'll be looking at, and if you join Patreon now, we're looking at maybe a post-game type show after Houston. So we're going to stop recording on the free show. If you're on Patreon, stick around.